Hello, this is Robert Morris, and today I'd like to show you how to make a very easy watercolor of birch trees. So what I've done with this, like I've got to like to put my mind in a good frame, so I usually go to a Robert Frost poem that talks about birch trees, swinging in the trees, thinking about my younger years where I take my children out to the woods and we'd go camping and see birch trees in Maine, New England, Michigan. And so then with that nice frame of mind, then I go on and I start painting my birch trees. The preparation for this is I'm using 140 weight paper. This is Arches paper. I put down some washi tape around the edges to get a border. And then I've taken some masking tapes. I pulled out. I could use a knife on this, or I could just pull it out with my fingers. And then I make a nice, with my fingers, I just make a nice pattern on the paper that indicates birch trees. Now you could do this with masking fluid, but if you're on a budget, you can just get some nice, it's nice and easy masking tape and do the same technique. So I'd like to start. I'm going to begin. I'm going to put you down into my watercolor paper. The first thing that we do, of course, is we put down some clear water so we can build a nice background. Around these trees. We have to give it a few minutes, not minutes, a few moments to soak into the paper, the water, so the colors that we put on next will not run and bleed as much. So we just give it a little bit of time to soak in. And then we decide, we determine what our background we want to put in there. And let me say that I would start with let's start with a nice cad yellow. Put a nice cad yellow toward the center, toward the horizon rather. And this is just giving us a nice background. I'm going to add a little bit of ochre, which is a little bit different shade and value of the yellow. So I'm going to throw that above the cad yellow. Then I'm going into a little bit of my reds, cad reds. You can use alizarin crimson. And I'll put a layer right above the yellow. It's all right if that yellow hits into the red. That's fine. I'm going to add a little bit of violet in here for interest. I'm going to come toward the bottom and I'm going to put in this is a sap green. I've touched just a little bit of sepia just to get it a little bit more of a foresty green. Then on top, I'm going to come on down with some blue. I'm going to strengthen the top portion of that, just because then that'll take your eye down toward the center. And then I think I'll put even a stronger green at the bottom of my composition. So that'll throw my eye back up into the top section. So again, I'll strengthen the top as it dries up a little bit. Now, if I wanted a little bit of cloud formation in the top there, I'll take a tissue and kind of blot out a little bit. I'll come down here again to my base. And add some more values. Now, I've got a nice background color on here. I've got the foreground. I've got everything set here. And now this gives me the opportunity now to take the tape off and start building the birch trees. I think I'm going to dry this paper up, which is a good thing to do. I'm going to dry this paper a little bit more so I can get a nice work on the birch trees. So you might want to cover your ears. There's going to be a hair dryer that I put on there to speed the process up. So I just want this to dry up a little bit, so then when we put on our next, when we start building our trees, it won't bleed into the color. And when you're home doing this, you can just let it naturally dry if you wish. Okay, I think we're set here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the tape. And that'll give us the basis for our birch trees. So there we have our basis. Now I'm going to take a flat brush and I'm going to get a little bit of, start building bark and the values that will go on our birch tree trunks. I'm using a violet. And it's kind of a drier brush stroke that I'm using. I'm just trying to get a little bit indication of some bark, nice bark in here. And again, I've used violet for this. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my sepia and do the same thing. Go over the violet just to put a little bit more value into this. Sometimes I like to use rice paper at the bottom, at the base of these trees, to give it some texture. Now I'm going to go into a number 8-inch round brush, and I'm coming down. I'm going to say the light is coming from the right side, so I'm going to just say on the back, on the left side. That'll be our darkest portion of the tree trunks. Okay. Now I'll take a few little dots in here. Just to indicate a little bit of the bark again, the holes in the bark. Now, we'll come back to here a little bit in a moment, but I'm going to put in some nice branches in here. So I'm taking a rigger brush. This is a number 1, and this rigger brush is very thin, as you can see, and it lets us do some nice, very loose branches. And you can be as loose and free with this as you want. And this is kind of the fun part. This is a painting that I like to do at a coffee shop. You're sitting at the table, it's a small painting, not that many colors. And it's an easy one, nice and loose and kind of fun on a afternoon. You get yourself a cup of coffee or a morning, sit down and just build these trees, make a nice composition, and also allow you to talk to some of the patrons. They'll kind of come over and ask you questions. You can promote your classes if you have any. And as I said, it's to get yourself in the right frame of mind, besides the coffee and the relaxation, the environment. It's nice to have a Robert Frost book of poems, about birch trees, or another author. That can get your mind set also very nicely. As you can see, these lines are nice and free. Nice and loose. Sometimes if you have a nice oak or a nice birch tree, nice old one, you have these nice big strong branches, and they're ideal for climbing when you're young, of course. And you don't want these branches straight. You want them nice and what they call gnarly. Gnarly. Let them bend in the wind. These trees have had long lives, and sometimes even somebody has stepped on them when they're really young and made nice crooks in them. And as I mentioned, when you're in that coffee shop, you have all this time that you can lightly and loosely build these branches. Come at the base, and you can flick up some grass, some loose grass. It's kind of a drier brush stroke. Just flick some things up here going on. Maybe you want to put a shadow pattern on them. And even you could come back here, and this is kind of nice too. If you come with your, I've got a little sepia, dark, blue, making kind of a dark color. And I'm just going to suggest some fence posts that might be around this. Just come that with those posts. And then you can come lightly across with your smaller rigger brush. And put a little bit of wire fencing in there. As I said, you can flick some more things up here. Flick some grass things at the bottom. Add a little bit more shadow pattern down here. You might come with, now that it's dried a little bit, you can put another value across your bark. This is a light violet, so I'm just adding just another light value across it to soften some of the areas. Again, some more loose patterns. And this is kind of where the fun part comes in. Just again, as I mentioned, all these nice loose branches. Branches where your little baby birds might sit, waiting for you to come in and feed them. You could also come, it's the number 6 brush. Maybe you'll come in here and you'll add a little bit of foliage around the ends. So we'll get a little bit of an abstract suggestions. Of foliage. Strengthen. A little more strength on a couple of these branches. This might be the branch where we would build that swing. Like a little bit more grass in the bottom here. And we'll keep on building. Just a few more dashes of color. I think toward the base, we'll put another a bit darker value toward the base on these birch trees. It's a good idea to stand back and to dry a little bit and evaluate where you might want some more of these branches. Look at your composition. And as I mentioned, you'll want the character of this painting is going to be your nice zigzag patterns, your nice shaky limbs that you have here. If you have a little bit of twitch in your arms, that'll kind of make it even more interesting. So you can make it, like I said, you can make as many of these branches as you want, or as few, up to you. And remember, they have to be very crooked. And try to get any symmetry in here. And then when you get toward the end, or as many, if you think that's as many branches as you wish on your tree, you get to go in the corner here, the bottom, and you sign your name. And there you have it. Okay, I'm Robert Morris. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you look for my other videos online. And I hope, like I said, I hope you join us again. Thank you.